I've always loved Yorkshire, and having just fulfilled a dream and moved up here, I'm keen to get exploring. I'm heading off on a bit of an impromptu afternoon out, and I've got about 4 minutes to catch a train. Thankfully, Guide Dog Gio and I are veterans at finding our way around York railway station. I think we can make it.
Find the way. Good boy. You know the way.
I think York railway station is one of my favourite buildings anywhere. And I still never tire of passing through it, even though I now do so several times a week.
Left, left, left. Find the door. Find the door.
Thank goodness for that. With a few seconds to spare, we made it onto our first train of the day, which would take us to 20 or so miles from York to Leeds.
Find the way, and find the steps, Gio. I've arrived at Leeds station. I'm not much of a stranger to here. I pass through it a couple of times a week at least. But today I'm heading somewhere different. Normally I'd be leaving the station here, but instead I'm catching another train, heading a little bit further west. Only another 10 minutes or so.
What could be easier than finding a platform at a station that I use so often? First I had to cross the bridge.
And come here.
Go down the escalator.
Yeah, fine, thank you.
And then count the platforms on my left. 6, 5, 4, and this one must be 3, mustn't it?
Nice and steady, Gio. Just stand for a minute, just stand still.
Apparently not. Having asked a passerby, I discovered it was in fact back the other way. But this should be my train coming in now, shouldn't it?
Oh, train's back this way. Hello, is this a train towards Skipton?
No, it's not.
Is it not? Oh right, okay. Come on, Gio, you're going to find the way, come on.
The very friendly conductor on that
Left,
train
Gio,
did offer
left.
to help me find my platform
Left,
once she was
Gio.
free of
Thank
her
you very
present
much.
duties. But
Find the way.
I was running rather late by now,
That's it, find
and
the way.
after all, surely it couldn't be that difficult to find the
left,
way.
please, Gio. Yes, I know, it's back where we came from. Sorry, thank you.
By now, I'd run down the clock somewhat, and what was a 25-minute connection had now turned into a 3-minute one. But thankfully, I found somebody who could help me.
Go on, Gio, go right. Go right.
And it turned out that the entrance to platforms 2 and 3 was in fact halfway down platforms 4 and 5.
They are when they they are when they're good. They have their moments. Lovely. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
So with that small matter sorted out, here's my train for the next leg, taking me on another 10 or so miles from Leeds west to Saltaire.
Once again, this is the 1416 to Skipton. Calling at Shipley, Saltaire, Bingley, Crossflats, Keighley, Steeton and Silsden. Connolly and Skipton.
Heading out of Leeds, the train follows the line of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal, along a route that's also used by trains heading to Bradford, Ilkley and the Settle and Carlisle line. Between Shipley and Saltaire, the tracks run directly alongside Salt's Mill, which we'll be seeing a bit more of in a moment.
Right, now to find which way to go. Should we try left, yeah? Can you find left? So we are in Saltaire, just to the north of Bradford.
Saltaire is famed for its enormous mill, constructed by Sir Titus Salt, a 19th century industrialist and philanthropist, as well as the model village that he constructed to house his workers in more sanitary conditions than were the norm at the time.
Thank you. Sorry. Gio, come on, let's go.
The mill remained operational until the mid-20th century, and more recently has been reimagined as a shopping destination and also houses a well-known exhibition by the artist David Hockney.
But it's also known for something else. Something transport related, but not to do with the canal behind me or the river next to it.
This wasn't my first trip to Saltaire, although last time I came as a child and mainly went to the mill. This time I was looking for something a little different.
I think it's fair to say that I don't know where I'm going. Find left, Gio. But I don't think it was the way I just went. So we'll try down here instead. Find the way. Find the way. I presume what we need is a bridge. Just be a bridge. Right on cue.
The village of Saltaire obviously gets the first part of its name from Sir Titus Salt, but it gets the second part from the river Aire, seen here flowing past the new mill on its way between its source at Malham and its confluence with the River Calder to the southeast of Leeds. I must confess to have been rather confused at first as to whether this mill beside the River Aire was in fact Salt's mill or a different one. I understand that it's the new mill, built 10 years after Salt's mill and now used for council offices. But onwards and upwards, as I had a tram to catch, assuming I could find it.
Right, so I've just taken directions, so hopefully we're going in the right direction now. Gotta find the way.
Directions always seem so obvious to the well-meaning members of the public who proffer them.
Go right here. I never cease to be amazed at how I can take the best instructions and still get completely lost. Could it be there? Maybe there.
Finally, after taking a rather circuitous route,
You're on, Gio, steady.
I was on the path leading to the thing that I had travelled so far to see, the Shipley Glen Tramway.
Gio, find the way.
In truth, I hardly needed my guide dog to get me to the ticket office,
Nice and steady.
since the sound of the winch drew us ever closer.
Nice and steady. Waiting, Gio. Just waiting, Gio. Stand there.
That's your ticket. Hold on to it. But
A return ticket on the Shipley Glen Tramway allows one to travel up to the top and back down again as many times as one wants, and costs the princely sum of £2.50. When I visited, trams were departing pretty much every 5 minutes, meaning you could make quite a few trips if you wanted to.
it is. Right, we'll just wait here.
Okay guys, I've just got to go through some... Okay guys, just got to go through some safety rules for you all, so please don't stand up when it's moving, keep your arms and elbows in at all times. If it stops for any reason, we'll come and get you, don't climb out. If you've got return tickets, you're okay, well, 4 o'clock. You can use them as often as you want, up to them. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
With the safety briefing over, a first for me on any funicular railway I've ever taken, we were off, heading at the enormous speed of 7 miles an hour up the 400-metre long line from the bottom station to the top. It's not exactly a white-knuckle ride, but arguably it was built in order to support one. It was first opened in 1895 by one Samuel Wilson, who also owned a toboggan ride, so one could take a trip up to the top of the glen on the tramway and ride back down again on the toboggan. Originally gas-powered, the tramway was converted first to oil and then to electricity in the 1920s. Operation passed from the local authority to a charitable trust in the early 2000s. Today it operates every Sunday thanks to a dedicated group of volunteers. It is claimed to be Britain's oldest working cable-hauled railway, if you discount all the various cliff lifts at seaside resorts around the country. It may not be the fastest or the most scenic ride anywhere, but I thoroughly enjoyed my trip from the bottom station to the top on the Shipley Glen Tramway. It's really great to see an old railway like this still operating, still being enjoyed by people young and old. Alright, I ran out of things to say at this point, and there's still another 15 seconds left of squealing wheels and whining cables, but we're nearly there, nearly at the top of the tramway. So this is the top of the Shipley Tramway, Shipley Glen Tramway. There used to be an amusement fair up here apparently in the past, and you can start walks from here up onto the glen itself, which is apparently behind me. But there's not much here now, and it's a bit grey to go for a walk, I think. So I'm going to head back down, I think, on the next tram. Well then, you find the way. Just wait here. Just waiting. I'll spare you a video of the whole ride back to the bottom, since, truth be told, the way down was much like the way up. And there we have it. That was my experience of riding on the Shipley Glen Tramway in February 2023. After returning to the bottom station, I took a few photographs and then headed for Saltaire village. Oh, that was really good fun. Now to go and find a pint and head home again. And off to Fanny's Ale House I went, wondering a little what the teetotal Sir Titus Salt would have made of his daughter's name being taken in vain for the name of a pub. My rather impromptu visit to Saltaire was everything I had hoped it would be. A bit of historic transport, some great views, and a decent pint at the end. If you've enjoyed watching, please like the video and subscribe to Life in Yorkshire.